Mathematically, we still have a chance for the title. Reality, probably not got much chance of even getting into the latter stages of the playoffs, to be honest. It's still very much possible we could do the latter, but it's going to take something very special. It's going to take a bit of luck. So let's find out a bit about our youth intake, and let's then really concentrate on the future rather than the likelihood that we probably won't be achieving much in the remainder of this season beyond what we've achieved in every single season so far. So let's find out who we've got in this year's youth intake. So here we are, and it looks like we've got two main people to look at being decent players this year. The first one being Michelangelo Riella. Now, my assistants reckon he could be a ball-winning midfielder, but I don't think he's good enough defensively for that. I think he's going to be either a deep-line playmaker or a central midfielder, neither of whom we use at the moment, but I do wonder whether the aggression is something that we could potentially use. So I'm thinking of maybe actually using him as a ball-winning midfielder for a brief period and then training him up in a different area. The other one, who I haven't actually looked at yet, is Candido Petrola, who is more of an advanced midfielder or possibly a winger. I don't think he's that good. He's got some pace, got first touch, could potentially be a useful inside forward, maybe, but I'm not wildly excited about either of them, to be honest. I will probably give them both a go once they signed. I don't know exactly when that will be yet, but that will probably be my next game. As you saw in the last video, we still have the most tiny of outside chances of maybe getting a title defence. So my guess is what I'll do is I will come back for either a game that is going to be crucial or a game that is going to be completely uncrucial and that we will be playing one of the youngsters in. I think we may well be looking at the Foggia game, but we will see. So you'll see any second now. So as you can see, we only actually decided to sign a very small number of our intake this year. So much for the excellent intake. But there are a couple who will be coming in. And here we are against Lanusei, a team which we have an interesting history against. We played them once and we won 5-4, so a proper thriller. I have decided to go with Shiro for this game, but Riella is on the bench and the plan will be to bring him on without a shadow of a doubt. We're also going to go with Brigliadori up front because he's nice and fit and has had a good start to his Zafferana career. Although Castelli can obviously feel a little hard done by, to be honest. But now that we've gone back to our winger system, short of going with one winger, which we could do, there's not really a way to play them both. We've also got a few of the other players who've come up from the youth academy, Petrola and Borboni, both of whom could have the odd game here and there, but I'm not particularly optimistic about their having a significant future with us. It's always nice to have players, but with Roller still the only one really who's made any kind of impact. I'm hoping Riella might be the second, maybe. There's no doubt we could do with more midfielders. Now that we've got three central midfielders, having more would be a good idea. So if Riella can be one of them, then that would be a big plus for us. Roller now. Out wide to Latilat on the other side. Shiro, Pellegrini. Shiro's place, of course, under massive threat now. Roller finds Gioldi, and Gioldi heads over the bar. Shiro will be replaced in this game. There's pretty much no doubt about that. We've got 5 subs. I can say that with almost 100% confidence. When exactly will be dependent on the situation in the game and how Shiro is playing, but he will be replaced in this game by his much younger counterpart. Cavini, back to Volpe, Torini. Roller finds Latilat. Great ball. Latilat can't quite find Brigliadori up front. Roller to Marino. Shiro, what a goal from Shiro. He obviously knows that his position is under threat. He's responded with an absolute corker of a goal to take us 1-0 up against Lanusei. Game we should definitely be winning. I'd love to see us win it by quite a lot here. Marino finds Latilat, and this is a good start. 2 goals in the first 12 minutes. And keep this going, get lots and lots of goals. I'd love to see us score 10. We have done it before. It has happened. Latilat. Pellegrini, back to Latilat. Gioldi finds Latilat again, and Latilat this time finds Marino, who gets into Gioldi, and Benvenuti has made a good save there. Gioldi into Fazio and over the bar. This is looking very, very promising. Gioldi back to Latilat. Pellegrini finds Roller, can't quite put it away. Vittorini to Marino. Shiro finds Roller. Roller can't put that one away. Carini passing out from the back here. Marino back to Roller. Involved in almost everything. Not at his best today, but he's involved all the time. Roller crossing the ball into Gioldi and back to the goalkeeper. You're making chances galore here. Virtually all of these 11 shots have been highlights. Vittorini back to Shiro and Vittorini again. Very good at passing away out of trouble like that. Brigliadori can't make it 3. We have had a lot of chances. Pellegrini, Carini, and there we are, 3-0. Carini has a goal. Right, Shiro's had a great game. So it's not because I don't like him or anything like that, but I'm going to bring him off now because the game's won. And I think it's time for us to have a look at our newest youngster. Sorry, Shiro. Riel gets his first touch in Zaffarana colours. Great ball out there, wide from him. I do wonder whether he could end up being just as important to us as Roller already is. He's still only, about 2 years into his Zaffarana career, and he spent a lot of that injured, and he's already a massive player in this side. So much so that I've changed my system back to re-accommodate him after it was starting to go quite well. But having him back, we just couldn't pass up the opportunity to use him. Where on earth would he even place him? Let's fire him up. Now he's overwhelmed. Okay, that's not a great sign. But then, to be fair, the same was true of Roller. Roller was not great mentally when he first arrived. And he is young. Latilat finds Marino. Roller. Another shout of encouragement at some point. Get in! Fazio is on the end of a Gioldi corner and it's 4-0. These are the kind of results that I want to start having more of. Particularly if we do end up in the league again next year, which we could do. Particularly with Monopoly presumably just going ahead there. That's a big problem in terms of the very faint chances we still had of promotion. They will pretty much go if Monopoly win. Latilat. Gioldi. Can't quite find the man in the box. Carini completely fails there to find Riella. Brigliadori's through, and Brigliadori makes it 5. This is much more like it from my team. I like the way we've been quite clinical today. We've taken most of our chances, scored 5 goals on just 1.72 XG. That's really good news. Sporto. Can't quite squeeze it in. Be nice to keep a clean sheet now. 2 things I'd really love now. Riella goal, clean sheet. A Roller goal would also be nice, of course. Riella Roller. That's going to get confusing, isn't it? Oof, just managed to hold on to our clean sheet there. It was a close run thing. Be a shame after such a dominant performance to give up that clean sheet. Bring Marino off now for Pacino. Oh, and we have given up the clean sheet. Bring on Pacino anyway. So we've now got 3 youth academy graduates in the 11 at the moment. Pacino, not one I'm massively optimistic about, but the other 2 certainly could have a very bright future ahead, I reckon, if we get it right. Riella, less likely than Roller. We know that Roller is a pretty top player already. Pellegrini throw in. Benvenuti picks that straight up and clears it long. And they've managed to make what should have been a second goal. Been a little bit sloppy in the second half. After such an excellent first half, the second half has been a bit disappointing. We have scored, but only the 1, and we've also conceded. So the draw in the second half. Mehic comes forward. Can they, in fact, win the second half, perhaps? Volpe makes a good save. DiMarco. Nothing comes of that. They've definitely had the better of the second half, which is a strange thing to say in a game that you've won 5-1, but there's no doubt that's the case. In fact, if you look at the XG, they're now ahead. Not sure I've ever seen an XG defeat when I've won 5-1 before. I mean, I wouldn't say we've been unlucky, but second half we've been poor. Volpe makes one last save, and that should be that. 5-1. Great first half, second half was pretty poor. Simple as that. And surely that will be that. It is. You can see that last few minutes, there was a very good period there. It was one good chance, wasn't it? It took us massively behind. I can't really say that when we won 5-1. I've got to say well done, haven't I? I can't really tell them they haven't played well enough when they won 5-1. It is still mathematically possible that we could overtake Monopoly, but I think that win for them has probably made it impossible in reality. The question really is whether we might be able to overtake Taranto or Virtus Francavilla and avoid that those early rounds and get into the quarterfinal or at least the third round. And that's obviously at this point is the big goal. Riella, 15-year-old. Look, I don't think he's going to be great, but if he can give the odd game here and there, then that would be great. Right, I will be back. I think I will be back for the first playoff game. If it looks like there's any possibility that we might not be in that first playoff game, then I'll come back for the last game of the season, and we will see that, and before going on to the playoffs after that. So the next game will either be the last game of the season or it will be a playoff. You'll find out right now. I will just pop in here, though, to say that Riella has actually broken Roller's record by approximately, exactly 22 days, 2 years further on, as the youngest player who's ever played for us. So Michelangelo Riella, youngest player in Zaffarana's short history at this point. Just an interesting little tidbit there. Hopefully we'll be back shortly with a game that might mean that we could achieve something really big this season. Who knows? It's a different game. It's a game against Torres, which I wasn't going to cover, but I just wanted to show you this wonderful moment. I'm not sure why Riella's taking this free kick, but he gets his first assist, finding Brigliadori's head in a game that we've almost won already. But it's always great to see when youngsters get their first proper, significant statistical contribution. Great news. Right, we're back for the last game of the season. Two reasons for that, really. One, because a win would guarantee us third place, which would mean that we would skip the single-legged rounds of those playoffs that are not difficult necessarily, but a pain in the neck, and just be nice to have to be able to skip them. The third round is the first two-legged round, and the other reason is because the current record we've had for our most points in the season was 70. So if we win, we actually make it our best season ever, which I wouldn't have guessed would have happened a couple of months ago, I have to say. I was not expecting to be able to say that when we fell apart a bit. I still think we should have won the league this year. We could end up being 3 points behind Taranto as champions, or Monopoly perhaps a little bit further forward, who knows. But, you know, if we finish third, it would clearly be improvement. If we can also make sure that it's our most successful season ever points-wise, then that would clearly be something very, very satisfying indeed. So, we are going into the final game of the season, playing Riella today, because Shiro is suspended. He's in very good form, so it's kind of a shame, and it'd be nice that I think we probably have him back for the next game in the playoffs, which will definitely be happening, just a question of which one. And then up front, we are going to stick with Brigliadori, although it's good to see that Castelli is also in pretty good form as well. And this is, I think, the team we're going to go with. We've got Riella and Roller, who are going to be confused many times, I'm sure, by your erstwhile host. But, this is potentially, in some ways, one of the bigger games we've had, because a win here means that we have one less game to win in the playoffs. So, arguably, it's we've got two chances to win a first-round game in the playoffs. Gioldi to Riella. And nothing comes of that to begin with. We obviously only have to match the result that Catanzaro have in today's game. Gioldi crosses to Fazio, and Fazio scores. And it feels like the kind of day that we might be kind of rather sailing towards that third place finish and finishing potentially only 3 points off the title. If nothing else, it means that we absolutely have no choice next year but to go for a title all out. Next season has to be the season we go up if we don't go up this year. Obviously, I'll be trying to. I still think even with starting in the third round, it's going to be tough. You know, we're still going to have 7 games to win, in order to get into the into Serie B. Obviously, there are seven games in which we need to win the ties. Obviously, I'm assuming that the final is single-legged, but that may not be. It may even be 8, assuming we finish third. Roller does not manage to get the goal. It does look like at the moment, given that we've had such a good start, I'd be surprised now if they pegged us back. But it has happened. I shouldn't count my chickens. And of course, our next video will be whatever the first game of our playoff adventure is. I might try and get it all into one video, I think, because it would be nice to have a full playoff run, even if it is successful and it means 7 games. A bumper 7-game episode. Ricciardi has the cross and Volpe makes the save. If we could go in 2-0 up, that would be very nice. Thank you very much. Very convincing first half performance this against a team who's not a bad team. I think they were 7th coming into this game. So clearly not a poor side, but we are making short work of them. DiMarco. Shot gets away there from, I think it must be Marino. And that's half time. Nice to get the early lead and it means that we can now be fairly confident that we're going to kind of cruise through this second half. It's kind of position where I would be bringing Riella on if he hadn't started. Players like Gioldi may well be coming off at some point for the same reason. Pacino can get a game, might get Colucci a game in the defence perhaps. All sorts of things that we can do. The one thing I haven't done, unfortunately, I probably should have thought of this, is included any of the other youth intake from this year who haven't yet had their chance to shine. There are a couple of other players who, whilst I don't have high hopes, could be useful squad players potentially. Carini to Gioldi. This has been a hallmark of my team in Zaffarana. We're very, very good at this, playing behind their lines, and just finding that way through eventually. It takes a while sometimes, and sometimes it's frustrating, and sometimes it doesn't happen. But generally speaking, we're pretty good at it. We very rarely lose the ball in that situation, which is the important thing. Just going to encourage my new boy. Uninterested. To do a job on him like we did with Roller. He's definitely improved, Roller. Having said that, I am going to take Roller off because he could probably do with the rest. And he is going to be an important part of our promotion push in those playoffs. So bringing him off now makes sense. I'm going to bring DiMarco off for similar reasons. Atilat crosses into Paolini, but he cannot get that over the keeper. And we are going to finish third. We did need to win this in the end. Catanzaro have won. So an important win. And it does mean that we go into the playoffs in the third round for the first time. And it's progress. It's as simple as that. It's our best season ever, points-wise. Only by 1 point this time, unfortunately. Didn't manage to make the big strides that we've made in previous seasons. We had 58, 63, 70, and now 71. So 5 points difference, 7 points difference, and now just the 1 point difference. But these last few points, if we need to get any more, are going to be the hardest. The target this season was 80, so we haven't quite hit the target that I set myself. 80 points, as you can see, would have won us the title, and almost certainly was always going to. Let's hope next season, if we have to, we can make 80 points, but I'm of course hoping that we don't have to. 3 teams to play. If we can beat all 3 of them over 2 legs, and I assume 1 leg, then we will be in Serie B at last. So join me tomorrow for the playoffs. I don't know how long it'll be. It could be a very short video just with the 2 games, the third round games. Or it could end up being 7 games and a promotion. That's obviously what we're hoping for. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.